Hello, everybody, and welcome to ZTV Live. Today is Wednesday, July 8th, 2020. I'm Susan Mulligan Fleischman, and I'm so happy that you've joined us here tonight. We're excited to welcome Jane Collins back to the show tonight with her wonderful show, 10 Questions. And her guest tonight is Brandi Yee, the Chief Program Officer for Act for Alexandria. So we'll look forward to seeing Jane's interview with Brandi in just a few minutes. But first, I'd like to bring you a few words from our sponsors. This episode of ZTV Live is sponsored in part by Delias, located on Swamp Fox Road near the AMC Hoffman. Delias offers indoor and outdoor dining plus carry-out and specializes in brick oven pizza and Mediterranean cuisine. Visit deliasbrickovenpizza.com. Mention the zebra for 15% off your order. And Alla Lucia on Old Town's North End at 315 Madison Street. Check out their daily specials at allalucia.com. They have deals on pizzas and bottles of wine to go Mondays through Thursdays. Remember to mention the zebra. And by Riverbend Bistro in the Holland Hall Shopping Center in Alexandria. With a new summer menu and specialty cocktails, Riverbend Bistro is open for business with carry-out and indoor and outdoor seating. Visit riverbendbistro.com. If you'd like to sponsor ZTV Live, please send us an email at ads@thezebrapress.com. That's ads@thezebrapress.com. And now I'd like to give you a couple of items in the news tonight. The city of Alexandria has officially opened its newest public art installation called Wrought Knit Labor's Legacies in Alexandria's waterfront park at 1 Prince Street. This new temporary installation by Olalekan Japhius is the second in the annual public art series and will be on display through November 2020. The temporary public art and performance series highlights Waterfront Park as a civic space and is informed by the historic waterfront and neighboring community. Japhius was commissioned in 2019 to create this original site-specific work and was selected by a community task force with the Alexandria Commission for the Arts approval. For more details on this installation, please see the story on thezebra.org. Wrought Knit Labors and Legacies was installed in mid-March, but due to COVID-19 health guidelines, it remained closed to the public until Alexandria entered Phase 3 of the Forward Virginia Blueprint. So please be sure to wear your mask and practice social distancing when you visit this meaningful exhibit. The City of Alexandria has announced details for the virtual July 11th Alexandria and USA birthday celebration. Alexandria's fireworks are typically held after July 4th, combining celebrations of Alexandria and the USA birthdays. But the fireworks, cake, and other in-person festivities obviously have been canceled due to the coronavirus pandemic this year. As promised by the city, residents can mark the occasion of Alexandria's 271st birthday and the USA's 244th birthday online. Virtual performances and sing-along will be held at 7 p.m. on July 11th. Residents are invited to sing Happy Birthday to Alexandria at 7 p.m. from their porch, stoop, window, or balcony. See the full story on thezebra.com. And if you're a history buff and want to learn more about the Revolutionary War from a local historian, this event may pique your interest. On July 23rd at 7 p.m. via Zoom, author and PhD John Moss will talk about his new book, The Battle of Guilford Courthouse, A Most Desperate Experiment. The book recounts the bloody battle and the grueling campaign in the South that led to it. The battle was critical to America's independence. Dr. Moss's talk is sure to be engaging and informative. See the story on thezebra.org for more details on how to access the Zoom session. And that takes care of the news tonight, and I'm pleased to welcome our friend and co-host, Jane Collins. Hi, Jane. You're on now. Welcome to ZTV Live.
Hi, Susan. It's good to be back. Thank you.
Good. Well, we're happy to have you back. There is something a little bit weird going on with the sound that I'm going to try to figure out as we go. But I just wanted to let people know there's a slight little technical thing going on tonight. But other than that, we'll be having smooth sailing. So Anyway, Jane, I know that you're probably excited to bring your guest on, so I'll go ahead and I'm gonna say goodbye, and I'm gonna bring Brandi on. So, Jane, you can take it away with Brandi.
See you later. Hi, Brandi. How
Hi,
are
Jane.
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Thanks for coming in tonight.
Sure. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Now, Brandi is the chief program officer, or she told me right before the show, the chief princess of Act for Alexandria,
That's ridiculous.
our community foundation. So, as Brandi knows, I'm going to ask at least 10 questions in my magic bowl of questions. And we'll get to know Brandi a little bit, and you get to know a little bit about ACT as well, and how people from Alexandria can be involved. So, well, the mystery here is which question will I pull out first? I'm actually going to stage the first one. For those that don't know, the question is, what is ACT for Alexandria?
That's a great question, Jane. ACT is the Alexandria's Community Foundation. So we kind of think of ourselves as the home for philanthropy. We make it easy for donors who want to give and get involved with the Alexandria community. We support nonprofits by helping to build their capacity. We also mobilize and convene the community around important topics. This year, we are talking about the census, but we've also, for the past 2 years, been talking about racial equity. So it really is a place for the community to come to learn more about how they can get involved in their local community.
Okay, and I've been involved with you for a long time. And okay, we're going off script here, so hang on. You've been around for what, 10 years or 12 years?
Oh, 13 and a half years.
Yeah. And you've been with them since the beginning, haven't you?
Actually, I joined probably a little less than 2 years after the organization got started.
Okay, yeah. But what I love about ACT is not only is it a place for philanthropy, but you do take on so many social causes. And I don't think all community foundations do that. So
yeah, I think you're right. I think some of them are a little bit more traditional and more serve just the donor advised funds and maybe kind of, but don't do much community engagement work. And so we are really excited to be able to do both.
Yeah, yeah. And you guys are everywhere. So ready for another question?
I'm ready.
Okay. How are you managing during quarantine?
That's a good question. So I am an extrovert. So when this first started happening and we got the stay-at-home orders, I was kind of nervous of what that would mean and yeah, what it would be like to be by myself. But I've actually learned that it's not so bad. A couple of weeks in quarantine were really tough. I think with work, we had a lot going on as we were mobilizing our Act Now COVID-19 Emergency Response Fund. We also were planning for Spring to Action, our big giving day. So there were a lot of 12 to 14 hour days, just kind of, you couldn't go anywhere, right? So you could just be at your office or your home office and just work. And so that was a little bit stressful. But I think now that some of the 6 weeks have passed and we're now in week like 16 or 17 maybe, I've gotten into a routine. I think some things that are important for me are meal planning. I've never cooked so many meals in my life. I haven't used my dishwasher as much or my washer and dryer as much as I have during this time. So I've gotten creative with cooking. I like to play this game called Tales from the Freezer, where I try to pull stuff out of the freezer. One time I went in there and I found 13 frozen bananas. And so, I don't know. Do you ever put bananas in the freezer?
Never.
Okay. Well, you can do that. So if they are super ripe and you're not going to use them, you can put them in the freezer and pull it for smoothies, for banana bread. But they're 13. I got rid of all of those with different recipes. So that was good. And then I think also just two local businesses that have been really supportive during my quarantine time. One is Bar 3 of Old Town. I've been able to do online videos, like that helps me with my physical and mental health as pacers. So I ordered a pair of running shoes, probably the second or third week of the quarantine, and the owner hand delivered them to my home. So we have some amazing businesses in Alexandria.
Yeah. So you actually you actually lost weight during quarantine?
Well, I can't say that, Jane, only because, I was eating all that banana bread and I have also eaten a lot of ice cream during quarantine. I think I joked that, I have gone through maybe like 3 pints in a week.
Oh, I can beat you on that. I got you covered on that. Yeah, I mean, you get to the point where it's like there is nothing decent going on right now. I'm miserable. I'm going to have a pint of Ben and Jerry's.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so easy when you just like walk past the refrigerator like all the
Right.
time. Like, oh, I wonder what's in there. As if something has
Always.
changed. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I may have ice cream for dinner right after the show.
That sounds amazing. I am actually going to as well. I'm celebrating a friend's birthday after this. So it's ice cream trip.
All right. Well, speaking of, you mentioned earlier Spring to Action. So what is Spring to Action?
Yeah, Spring to Action is Alexandria's Giving Day. So it's a 24-hour online giving event. We had ours in April, and we raised almost $2.5 million for 156 organizations that were participating. So it's a chance for organizations to fundraise as part of a community-wide event. We also involve our local businesses to give back. I mean, it was a little bit different this year. It was our 10-year anniversary. We had lots of plans for big celebrations, but obviously with the pandemic, we had to stay inside. So we did a lot of online, Facebook Live. It's nice because it's an online event and everybody was at home. So there was a lot of attention on the website and the organizations that were raising money. So over the past 10 years, we've raised more than $13 million for the nonprofits in our community. A lot of really generous donors, and it's kind of exciting. Alexandria has been a model city when it comes to giving days, and so we've been able to talk about the different things that we've been doing across the country and speaking at different events and for different forums that want to hear about how communities are running giving days.
Yeah. I was part of that a couple years back when I worked at a local nonprofit, Community Lodgings. And the generosity of Alexandrians is extraordinary. I think the first year you raised $100,000, right? And you just thought that was amazing.
Yeah, I know. So it was like 47 organizations raising $100,000, and then we hit $1 million, and then we hit $2 million, and then this year we were like, I don't know, are people going to give? But we have such a generous community, and I think people realized just the need that was there. So yeah. Jane, what's your favorite thing about Spring to Action?
I just think it's the intensity of it. When I worked at Community Lodgings, we had set a goal, and we were within maybe a couple $1,000s of that goal. It starts at like a second after midnight and ends at midnight, so it is 24 hours. And the director, Lynn Thomas, called me. And I don't know if she's watching right now. I hope she is. She wanted me to put something else out on social media. It's 10:30. I wanted to go to bed. I'm like, really? Do I have to do this? Well, I did. And sure enough, somebody had been tracking us, waiting to see if we would continue to promote at this point at night. And that person donated $3,000 and we exceeded our goal.
Awesome.
So the lesson to me and to everyone out there who fundraises, especially for a contest like Act for Alexandria, is don't give up. Don't plan on sleeping that night. Just stay at it, because people are way more engaged than you think they are.
Yeah, and people love to help you meet your goals. And I think that's what people love to give at the end, because there is that leaderboard and you're trying to see and compete against each other to win these prizes. So people get really excited and very competitive, which is one of the key aspects of the competition and of the Giving Day success.
And I'm hoping my nonprofit Herd can compete this year. Last year, I just had family things. I just didn't have the bandwidth to do it. But I'm thinking about being part of it this year, and I'm getting excited about it already. So
yeah, I think you'll be great. I mean, you gave such great feedback to our nonprofits about kind of how to tell your story. So I think you have some great stories that you'll be able to use for fundraising.
Yeah, thank you. So I think we already answered the next question, but what is your favorite junk food?
Oh, okay. Actually, besides ice cream, one of the favorite things that I love are nachos.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yes.
I think there's a picture of that coming up.
There might be, yes.
Yeah, it's up now.
Yes. So actually, every Friday night during the quarantine time, I go out with a couple friends to get takeout, supporting businesses.
Right.
We used to try all different restaurants, and then we've kind of settled on nachos, and so it's like Friday night nachos.
So where do you go for nachos in Alexandria?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually live in DC, so I'm search for the best nachos in Alexandria. So if any of the viewers are watching and they have a good place for nachos, one of my favorite restaurants in Del Rey, Taqueria Poblano, maybe they have good.
Yeah. So who's good in DC? Where do you get nachos in DC?
So I go to Santa Rosa Taqueria. If you remember Spike Mendelson from Good Stuff and We the Pizza, he was one of the top chef contestants. He has a restaurant, and they've got great nachos.
Yeah, good to know. Good to know. So back to ACT. In ACT for Alexandria, what accomplishments are you the most proud of? And this could take a while to answer, I know.
Yeah, one being Spring to Action, which we already talked about. I think it's been amazing that we've been able to have 10 years of successful giving and to be engaging the community in that way. I think the fact that we're just really responsive to the community needs. I think about last year when we had the federal government shutdown, and we were able to quickly mobilize what we call the Act Now Fund to support people who had lost their job or were not getting paid. And we had, again, generous donors who wanted to support that. Excuse me. And then we were able to mobilize the Act Now COVID-19 Response Fund really quickly after things started to shut down. So I think our last day in the office was March 13th. By March 14th, we were able to stand up the fund that has raised more than $1 million in the past 16, 17 weeks. And we've been able to give away about $900,000 to 80 local organizations through that fund. So really grateful for the generosity of donors and for the nonprofits who are doing such amazing things to care for people in our community.
Yeah. And we'll talk about this a little bit more, but anybody can donate to ACT, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So you can donate to ACT as a whole, as our organization, and support the work that we do. You can support us through the Act Now Fund and the work that we're doing trying to give money away. So
yeah, and it's just actforalexandria.org, just like it sounds.
Yes. Thank you for the commercial. My development officer will thank you for that. And then I think the last thing is just the work that we've been doing around racial equity. We started on a journey with our organization over the past 2 years. If you remember, we had our Impact Forum, which is our capacity building conference. That was back in February of 2019. The first time that we actually started talking about race and having a community conversation that ACT hosted about it. So from there, we were able to kind of find out what were nonprofits and board members interested in learning more about as they kind of embarked on learning more about racial equity. So that really informed the allyship workshops that we are doing, the Learning Lab, which is a peer cohort racial equity program. We are giving away grants to support racial equity for nonprofits. And also just the convening work that we're able to do. So if you remember the town hall, the shared voices, which was after the death of George Floyd, we were called on to help participate in that. So I think just really glad that we kind of took that step 2 years ago and that members of the community are really interested in learning more and being part of this as well.
And I'm going to put in another plug for ACT for Alexandria. You have 5 staff, right? And only 3 are full-time?
So we have 4 full-time staff, 1 part-time, and then also 2 interns.
Yeah.
So we have, so a small staff, but we are very mighty, and we have a very supportive and generous board. So I think that makes a huge difference.
You crank out an amazing amount of work.
Thank you.
As you are. Keep it up.
Thank you. We will.
Okay, so Brandi, back to you now. Where are you in the birth order of your family? And we're going to have readers guess this. There's a picture coming up, so type in your answer. Where do you think Brandi is? 1, 2, 3, or 4? 1 being the oldest, 4 being the youngest. And we'll tell you at the end of the show. But what do you want to say about that?
Oh, just that, if you can see, I think it's a picture of my family. It's one of our family weddings. And just, you can decide, am I the first, second, third, or fourth? You can see my cute little niece and nephews. And we have 2 more that were just added to the family as well this past year. So I think that's probably one of the hardest things about being in quarantine is not being able to go to California and spend time with all of them. Of FaceTime, and we do family Zoom calls every Sunday night. So it's nice to be able to connect with them that way.
Yeah. So you've talked before about donor advised funds as part of ACT. What is a donor advised fund?
Yes. So a donor advised fund is a giving vehicle. And it really helps donors with their philanthropy. So it's also a good way for them to engage their family in giving. It's very easy to set up. There's no tax reporting, no minimum distribution requirements. You get the expertise of the ACT team to help if you want help kind of figuring out your philanthropy or want to know some of the different needs that are going on in Alexandria. We also work very closely with our donor advised funds. They partner with us on different things like Spring to Action, providing matching grants, or Day of Gifts. Jane, I think your family fund has done that, as well as partner with us on our capacity building grants. So, of course, it's up to the donor to decide how they want to distribute the funds. But if they are interested in supporting ACT or Alexandria locally, we're happy to kind of talk to them about the different needs that exist and connect them to the nonprofits or other partners that they might be interested in talking to.
Yeah. Yeah. My husband and I started a donor advised fund back in 2012. And back then, ACT had a campaign going on called Everyone Can Be a Philanthropist. And I thought, you know what? That worked for me. Because when I think of a philanthropist, I think of like a 90-year-old billionaire, and that kind of thing. So I thought, maybe I want to do that. So we contacted you, I think, and what it means for the people, that are interested in what a donor advised fund is, it's just a place to put money that you want to give to charity, but you don't have to give it right away. You can hold it. And as another aside here, we're going to follow on after the show with 5 more questions with Brandi, which will come out as a print story tomorrow. And we'll talk a little bit more about putting money in a donor advised fund. I know the Washington Post came out with a story that was a little skewed, and we'll talk about that in the follow-on. But so, for example, if we want to put some money away and we don't know where we want to give it, but we want to give it to a charity, we can put it in the donor advised fund and then get a hold of you 3 months later and say, there's a nonprofit I want to support. Can you move money from our account over to this nonprofit? So it saves us the hassle of thinking, oh my gosh, somebody needs help now. Do we have the money? Where do we get it from? We have it waiting. So we can distribute it and we feel like we have a little bit more control over where it goes.
Yeah, you can also be anonymous too. We have some donors who want to give, but they don't necessarily want to have that engagement with organizations or for people to know where their gifts are coming from. So you can set up a fund and keep your giving anonymous. It's also a great way to track. So we can get all the reports, all the solicitations that come in. We can give you a statement of all the groups that you've given to in the past. And we can also recommend groups based on some of your past interests or interest in organizations or in issues. So we just love working with our donors. It kind of becomes a family.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you weren't working in philanthropy, Brandi, what would be your dream job?
So I would love to own a bakery. If you know me, I love to bake. If you see my Twitter handle and my Instagram, the handle is Brandi Bakes. Also gluten-free. And so this is a picture of when I was in Marseille, France last fall, and stumbled upon a gluten-free bakery, which was amazing, like the best bread and pastries, and it just brought so much joy. And so I just think people who are going into a bakery, they're just happy, right? They come in, they get a treat, they leave. So like, how can I help bring joy? It would be through my bakery.
Well, do you bring joy to just yourself or your friends who have donor advised funds?
Yes, happy to share. Once we're able to get back in person, I would love to do that. So yes, my office has benefited from some of the treats that I've made, and I can't eat everything myself. So, it's always good to share with others.
Oh, why not? Because I thought you made gluten-free baked things.
I do, but so I don't want to eat them all myself. I want to share them.
You don't want to. Sorry, I missed that.
Yes. And I also want people to know that gluten-free can actually be really good. So that's another piece,
Marion Brunken also likes to bake. And she was our first guest a couple of weeks ago, and she had this wonderful strawberry tart, a picture of something she made.
That looked amazing. I feel like we could go into business together, or maybe we could have a bake-off or something.
What a wonderful fundraiser.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great idea. I like it.
I'll do a bake sale.
I'll be a judge.
Yeah.
So there's something else. There should be another picture, and this is of a drink. Wait, never
Oh.
mind. That's another question. Never mind. Move on. Okay, so maybe we know what the questions are. Maybe we've planned this a little bit. Okay, so what are the Act Now Tuesday talks, and are you going to continue to do them?
We are. So I kind of explained a little bit about the Act Now COVID-19 Response Fund and the grants given away. So one thing we wanted to do, I mean, again, raising over $1 million, the generosity of donors giving that much money and supporting the work of the nonprofits in the community, we wanted to provide an opportunity to hear directly from those nonprofits. So for us to invite grantees, but also partners who are addressing issues around things like food insecurity, housing and homelessness, health, racial equity, and early care and education. And so we also want to be transparent with where the money was going. So for donors to hear about how the money was being used, for these leaders to share about what's happening on the front lines, and for people to be able to ask questions. I think especially the health one was really, they were all amazing, but people just wanting to know a little bit more about what's really going on in Alexandria and what are some of the needs. I think sometimes it's so hard. We see things going on in the news, or we are sitting in our homes and it's a very different picture than what might be going on in some other areas of Alexandria.
Yeah.
And yeah, we will continue to do more talks. It was a pilot series of 5. And so we did them on Tuesdays for like 45 minutes. You can go onto our website or our ACT Facebook page to see recordings of the different talks. But we are going to schedule a few more for this summer. I know that we want to talk to faith leaders and hear how they're responding to the pandemic. We also want to talk about workforce development and economic opportunity, legal assistance and justice issues. We really are, and also the arts. So we are open. If any of your viewers have topics that they would be interested in hearing more about, or leaders that they want to hear from, we would love to invite them to participate in the Tuesday talks. And we've really appreciated, Jane, your write-ups afterwards to highlight the leaders because they are doing amazing things, but they're also just amazing people outside of the work that they do.
Well, that's how this show came to be, because I was writing something called Foreign Tales based on the work people were doing during COVID. And a lot of that was based on your Tuesday talks. And suddenly that turned into 10 questions. So this is version 2.0.
I love it.
Earlier, when I almost gave away the answer, the question was, what would surprise you about people? What would surprise people about you?
Okay. Well, as you know, my name is Brandi. And it's kind of funny because I actually don't drink. I'm allergic to alcohol.
Oh, bummer. I'm sorry.
Right? That's okay. I save a lot of money.
Yeah.
So instead, this summer, I've actually started getting into making mocktails. And so I think you'll probably see a picture of one of the drinks that I recently made. It was a ginger pepper syrup with candied ginger and lime peel. You just add some sparkling water to it. I've also gotten into making shrubs, which are kind of like a tart vinegary syrup, and you can mix that with sparkling water. I have one right here as my prop.
Excellent.
But yeah, just refreshing drinks that, are just nice to have and fun. Like sometimes you just get tired of drinking water.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love what you do for ACT, but you are totally in the wrong field. You need to open a restaurant. Just saying.
Yeah, maybe I open a bakery and turn it into a workforce development program similar to Together We Bake. Maybe I can partner with them or.
Exactly. Drinks to go. Brandi's drinks to go. Stop by the waterfront. Get a homemade drink. Walk on. Make a donation.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, what do you like? Actually, we're about out of time, but what do you like most about working for ACT?
There's so many things. So I've been there for 13 and a half years. So I've seen a lot of different things, but I think the core piece is just we have an awesome team. Like you said earlier, it's small, but we work really well together. And I just admire all of the people that we work with. And I think we complement each other really well. But I also love the fact that we get to work with the nonprofit community. I mean, you've met these amazing leaders. You've had them on your show. The fact that we get to partner with them and problem solve and address issues in the community. I really feel like people have that collaborative spirit and want to work together. And I think that is very unique about Alexandria.
Yeah. Okay, one more personal question. Now, I
Okay.
do have more questions. So, in a couple of days, we're going to put out 5 more questions with Brandi, and that will be online. And then we're going to link to this show as well. But for your final question, what shows are you watching during the quarantine?
Oh, okay. Well, I actually just finished the show The West Wing. So
Oh, yeah.
I never saw it when it was running in real time, and I never wanted to start it, even though I know people talked about how much they loved it, because there were 7 seasons, and it's really hard to like commit to starting a show and watching that many seasons. Like, who has time to watch all those shows? But in quarantine, you do when you're not going out.
Yeah.
It was a fun show to watch because you can have it on in the background. You start to get like really into the stories and the people, and I feel like they were my quarantine during a part of the quarantine. So yeah, now it's over. I kind of miss them, and I'm looking for a new show. So, do you have any that you've been watching, or any recommendations?
Yes. In fact, we binge watch Breaking Bad, but don't watch
Oh,
it before bed because we just go to bed with nightmares. The Americans,
oh, I love
now
the Americans.
and now we started, I can't think of what it's called. We just started, no, we picked up Homeland.
Oh, yes. Okay, I
Yeah,
haven't watched that, but I am waiting for The Crown to come back.
yeah, yeah. So I got one more for you, and that is
Okay.
from your vantage point as the chief program officer of Alexandria. What can Alexandrians do to make our community and city better and stronger?
Yeah, so I think about, do you know Brian Stevenson from the Equal Justice Initiative, the book Just Mercy?
Yeah,
One of the things he talks about is the importance of getting proximate to an issue or to the people who are affected by that issue. And so I think that it's really important for our community to learn kind of what's going on in other areas and what are, how people are being affected, especially around this time in the pandemic or with all the racial things going on right now. Kind of stepping outside of our comfort zones, our neighborhoods, seeking to build relationships with other people, kind of seeking to understand their point of view as well. I think, again, learning about what are the issues that are affecting Alexandrians. I think of affordable housing. And if you've seen the Post had an article about evictions and how those are going to be on the increase. And so thinking about where are our families going to go if they if they don't have homes, or just getting more educated about what some of these issues are, and then also being able to think creatively, like how can we problem solve as a community together some of these issues. So if people are really committed to kind of a vibrant Alexandria and a place where everyone thrives, let's get all the voices together to help figure out how do we make Alexandria a better place for everyone.
yeah. Brandi, that was great. Thank you. Now, next time we meet, I want it to be live, and you have to bring food.
Yes.
And you have to bring your drinks.
Okay.
No more virtual meetings with you.
No,
So, thanks
person.
so much. Really
You're
enjoyed it.
welcome.
You taught us so much. Bye.
Terrific.
See everybody.
I'm just gonna talk overhead you because 2 people guessed on the birth order question. So we had Lori Flynn guest number 1 and Heather Peeler guest number 2. And I was gonna guess number 2 also, to be honest, but
I would guess 1.
Okay, well, the ones have it, so I am the oldest.
okay. Well, thank you, viewers, for coming in. Lori Flynn had wonderful things to say about Act for Alexandria as well, and what an inspiration you are, Brandi. So that was really wonderful. Thank you so much, Lori Flynn, for adding in. And I'll say goodnight to you girls, Jane and Brandi. What a pleasure to have you both on the show. And I will take it from here. And so that's it for tonight's edition of ZTV Live. Join us tomorrow night. Virginia Amos' show will be on, and with Bill Hendrickson talking about a nice project that he's working on in Delray, and kind of highlighting that city's, that section's neighborhood's architecture and some of the Art Deco influences on it. So that should be a wonderful discussion with Virginia and Bill. So until then, we'll say goodnight from ZTV Live, and to please be the good news in someone's life.